Hello and welcome to The Machine. I'm your host, Githuma, and today we are going to be talking about the command line interface. We'll be looking to understand what the command line interface is. We'll then look at the syntax of writing a command in the command line interface, and then we'll go through some examples of common command line interface commands that are there. Before we get into it, consider supporting the channel in the following ways. First, you can subscribe if you've not yet done so, and hit that bell icon to get notified when new content comes up. Then you can also give the video a thumbs up so that the algorithm can recommend it to more people like you. And then finally, you can buy me a coffee using the buy me a coffee link on the video description. I drink a lot of coffee, so don't hold back. Buy as much coffee as you want. If you're in Kenya, the easiest way to do this is using the virtual Visa card found on your M-Pesa app. So if you've never found a use for your M-Pesa virtual card, this is how you can use it. So yep, you can get to that. So all that done, let's start off. First of all, what is a command line interface? So if you do a simple search, you'll learn that a command line interface is also called the terminal. It's a text-based user interface used to run programs, manage files, and interact with the computer operating system or an application. So the user enters text commands, also called the input, and then the computer responds with the text output. So basically, this is a text-based interface, and we'll be seeing it in action very soon. So some of the common command line interface include the bash shell. This one is used by Unix and Linux operating system. And then we have the Z shell, also written as Z shell, written as ZSH, used by Mac operating systems. And then we have the command prompt used by Windows, and then the PowerShell, which is developed by Windows but can be used by any operating systems. So for you to be able to follow up on this tutorial or video, you will need one of those. You will need either a bash shell if you're in the Unix, or if you're in a Linux operating system, you'll definitely have a bash shell. If you're on Windows, you want to power up your PowerShell, so you just go to your applications and find PowerShell. It should be pre-installed. If it's not, you can download it online. And then if you're on Mac operating system, you'll basically be using either the Z shell, or you can still use the bash shell inside the Mac operating system. So if you're having trouble getting to this, you can tell me. I can make another video about this, but I'll assume that you can be able to get to your command line interface or your terminal. So myself, I'm on a Linux operating system, and I'll go straight into the terminal. You can either do it, you can find it here, terminal. Mine is called an emulator because I'm using a virtual machine inside my machine, but if you're using common Linux, it will tell you terminal. I'm also using Kali Linux, so it's either one of this. It's either this one here, or you can just write terminal on your search, and you should see it come up like that. And I can see it like my wordings are a bit small, so I'll increase the size of this. For you to increase the size, you want to do Control Shift and the plus button, and for you to decrease it, you can use the command Shift and you can use the command Shift and minus button. Okay, so I think that is big enough for you, and we'll start with the syntax. So let us look at the syntax. So in computer programming, when we talk about syntax, we're talking about the structure of a statement in a computer language. So you use statements to give commands to a computer. So computers, it's like you have to write to it to be able to communicate with it. So the syntax is how you're supposed to order that command or the statement that you're giving it for it to execute. And these are usually commonly defined. So for example, when you're talking about the command line, there's a way to write a syntax, and the way to write a syntax in the command line, it will looks something like this. You have the command, and then you have the option, and then you have the argument. So the command comes with it usually comes with the command, option, and argument. So the command is the directive to the command line interface to perform a specific task. So the command itself is the directive. That's what you want to tell the computer to do, and this may include checking the current working directory, listing content in that directory, creating, copying, and deleting content in that directory, and more. So here we'll be looking at some of the commands to just manage files in your command. We'll not dive very deep. We'll just look at some of the commands you can use to manage files, because a computer is a filing system, so it uses filing system to navigate around it. So we'll just be looking at some of the common commands that can be used to run around. Then the option, this may also be referred to as a flag or a switch. It's a single letter or a full word that comes immediately after the command to modify its behavior in a predetermined way. So options bring out more features in a command. We will see this more in practice. So I'll be using some options so that I can be able to demonstrate this. And then lastly, we have the argument. And the argument is a parameter you pass to the command for it to take effect on. So this is let me use an example. When you're creating a file or a folder, the name of that file, so when you say create a file called document or create a file called new file, the new file part of that command will be what is called an argument. You will be seeing more of this in practice, so don't worry, you'll be getting it. So this is the basic syntax of a command. Just note that not all commands have the options and arguments, and also not every time that you use a command you have to put in the option and the argument. So this is just the basic syntax of it, but there's a time you'll have a command that is just a command, and then there's a time you'll have a command which only has an option, and then there's a time you'll have a command which only has an argument. So basically that is the syntax of a command in a command line interface. So without further ado, we are going to look at some of the basic commands, and we'll start with the most basic one. Okay, the most basic one is called the PWD. So let me write that for you. And PWD stands for print working directory. So PWD stands for print working directory. Okay, so print working directory, that is the command PWD, and basically what this command does, it shows you the location that you're in inside the command line interface inside your computer system. So it will show you the location. I want to print this out so that we can encounter an error, and so that you can understand why the command line interface is useful, because it communicates back to you. When you give it a command, it gives you back an output. And here you see it's telling you this command is not found. Okay, so it can't understand what we're telling it to do. It can't understand all this, but I just wrote this so that you can be able to keep up. You can be able to see what I'm telling you, and also if you're taking some notes, you can be able to take some notes on the side. I'll also be doing an article on this, so don't worry. If you're more of a writing person, there'll be a written version of this course coming out, so please check it out on my Medium page. I will also put a link on it on the description page. So let's look at this command in action. So let's do PWD so that we can find what directory are we in. And you can see once we write this, it displays an absolute path. Okay, it displays for you a path. You navigate a computer through paths. Okay, and this is what you call an absolute path. An absolute path is one that starts with the root. Okay, so here we check, we can see this is what we call the root. The root of the root directory is the first directory on your computer. It's what comprises the whole computer. And then we have the home directory, and this one is where now a user is stored. So our user here is called the machine. The machine is the user, and is in the home directory. So we can say we are in the machine home directory. Okay, so if you are called George, or if you're called Mary, or if you've named your machine Agnes, or any other name, you should see that name appear here. So if you do a pwd, you should see this name appear here. Okay, so that is the pwd, and that's the output that you're seeing. As I've said, this first one is the root, and then this is the home directory, which stores the users, and then this is our user, and in our case is the machine, just like the channel. Okay, so this as I've said, this last name, it will be different between me and you. So if you see a different result, you should definitely see a home one, and but also depending on the bash that you're using, you can, depending on the command line that you're using, sometimes this one is called the user. I think in Windows and Macs it's called user, but in Linux it's called the home directory. So it might be a bit different. So depending on which system you're using, I recommend you use the Linux one, but if you don't want to do that, yeah, you will see that. So here we can be able to see on which level we are. Now the next command we are going to look at is the ls, and the ls command is the syntax for the ls command will look first of all, let me just clear this. If you want to remove what you already have, you can just do something called a clear. So we can go back and say pwd, and we can see we are inside the machine, and now we want to see the content of the machine. We use something called ls, and this one is for listing. It's used to list content of a directory. Okay, and this one is used for listing content of a directory, and if we do that, you can see the command is not found. It's giving us a lot of errors. So let's clear that first, and then look at this syntax. As we said earlier, the syntax should look something like this. You should see you should have an option part, and then you should have an argument. Okay, it should look something like this. The command should look something like this, and yeah, as usual, if I do that again, you see those errors, and you can see no such files exist and such kind of things. So we'll start first by listing it. Let's just clear this so that we have a clean working. Make sure we're in the pwd, and so we're inside the machine. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use the command without an option or an argument. So we're gonna list what is inside there, and when you do that, it will basically just gives you what is inside. Okay, so we can see we have a desktop, downloads, pictures, templates, all this. So these are the folders that are inside the machine. So inside the machine we have all these folders. Okay, the desktop, we have the document, we have the download, we have music, we have pictures, public, template, videos. All those are inside there. So as you have seen, as I said earlier, you don't always have to use a command with the options and the argument, but this is the way you can see we are using it without an option or an argument. Now we want to put an argument to this, and our argument will be an L flag, and this L flag basically, it tells you the L flag tells you it gives you more information about the folders that you're in. Okay, so in our case, let's do an ls with the L flag, and that is the option. And as I told you, options act on the command to make it do something more or something less. Or okay, so in our case, we want to see the the files with more information. And so you can see now, let me make it a bit smaller. Yeah, if you can see now, you see the this is there a way to make this smaller? Let me see if we can make this a bit smaller. Let's go into view and edit, zoom out. Let's zoom out. Let me see if I do control. Yeah, sorry, I was doing the wrong way. So control. So if we can zoom out, you can see now the ls command, it tells us more about our it tells us more about this desktop. Okay, so it tells us more about the documents. So we can see we have desktop at the end. We can see this desktop at the end. We can see documents at the end, the same things that we had up here. And then we can see downloads, we can see music, we can see pictures and all that. So what this tells us, but this is beyond the scope, these are permissions. We can see these are called permissions, and these ones are called groups, and these ones are called users. And then we have the date, and we can see the date is March 4th, and then we have time. So it can tell us for example, you can see here is February. These are the times that these files were modified. So this file was modified on March 4th, this one was modified on February, this one was modified on 2nd of March. So you can see the different times, and it can also tell you the time. So the L flag gives you a long format. L is for long, gives you a long format of a file. Okay, and then we also want to see one more thing. We want to see there's now we want to pass an argument to this command. Okay, so let's go and pass an argument to this command. So this time, for you to be able to see this, we will be using the download folder. And so just go to the website and download something. So you can go onto the website and go onto your browser, open your browser, and just download something. Okay, let's restore this session. So we might want to just go and let me, for example, just go and do command line interface image. I had searched that before, and there are so many images here. So let me just pick one, and I can go and save images, and yeah, I'll go into my downloads, and yeah, this one's called command line prompt, and I'll save. So if I do a save there, and let me get out of this, and now we come and list. Let's list with the long format. I'll do it both ways. So we'll do it with the long format and what is inside download. Okay, and we can see there's a couple of things. For example, I have different things that I've downloaded here, don't mind, but you can see the command line prompt PNG was downloaded. This is what we downloaded. So you can see the content. It can list for us the content that are inside there. But again, we can do a list without the L format. So we can just do list and then do downloads. And yeah, you can see this time it doesn't give us so much information. It just tells us what is inside there. So that is how you use the ls command, and that's it for that. So the next command that we are going to is called the cd, and we'll just clear our, let's clear this so that we can have a clean working table. And once we clear that, we're going to look at the cd command, and this one is the change directory. change directory is basically, it helps you to change from one directory to another. So if we go and do the pwd, as I told you, we are inside the machine. Okay, we are inside the machine, which is our home folder, but we want to change into let's say desktop. Okay, so let's do change directory into desktop. But before we do this, I want you to just go to your desktop and download, maybe create a folder inside the desktop so that we can see. Because for example, if we do let's just do cd into, let's do cd into desktop. Let's change our directory into desktop, and you can see this has changed. You can see this has changed. This one stands for home directory. We now have desktop. This one is telling us now we have entered the desktop. And if we do pwd here, we will definitely see that we have gone into the desktop folder. Okay, and if we list what is inside the desktop folder, we can see there's nothing inside the desktop folder. So this is how you change directories, and we'll be using this a lot in the coming upcoming commands, so that we'll be using it to change into directories, and also we'll be using ls a lot to confirm what is inside the directory. Okay, for now, let's just go and let's minimize this, and let's go and create a folder here called the normal way, called what will you call it? Let's call it new folder. Okay, so we call this a new folder, and please note the underscore that has been used here. This underscore is used for joining. So this is the convention of naming folders whenever you're using the command line interface, so that you don't run into errors. So we're going to create that, and we just created it the normal way, and you can see it's here. And now if we go back to our terminal, let's see where you are. Yes, here you are. And we do the ls, we'll see now we have a new folder inside the terminal. Okay, so this is a new folder that is inside the terminal. You can see the new folder that has been created inside our terminal. Okay, yeah, so there you go. That's how you can be able to confirm that you're in. You can be able to confirm using the pwd. Again, let's do pwd that we're inside the desktop, or you can be able to use the ls, and you can see whatever is inside the desktop. And this one we were able to get there by doing a cd, and the cd command is you change directory. Okay, now there's different ways that you can use the cd command, and let me just be able to show you. So you can be able to change into desktop. We were able to change our directory into the desktop folder. Now if you want to move, you want to go back. Okay, you want to go back to the previous folder. So currently we are let's look at this. Currently we are at we are inside the desktop folder, and you can be able to see that by doing the pwd, and we can see we're in the desktop folder. We want to change back into the machine. We want to go back into the home folder. We'll use the cd with the 2 dots. Okay, and when you use the cd with the 2 dots, first of all you will notice that the desktop is no longer appearing here. Okay, and if we do the pwd, you will see now we are back in the machine folder. We are not in the desktop folder. We are in the machine folder. And if we do an ls to confirm that, we can see that the folders that are inside there are desktop is part of it. Okay, so we have gone back using the cd with the double dot. Now there's another way that you can be able to use the cd, is by going back to the home folder if you're very far enough. So let's first of all cd into the desktop folder. cd into the desktop folder. Okay, and then we can be able to pwd and make sure that we're inside that, and then we want to again cd into the let's see what is inside there, and then we want to cd into the new folder, new folder, and yep, now we can see we are not only in the desktop, we are also in the new folder, and we can confirm that by doing a pwd. So the pwd tells us that we are inside the new folder, and we're first in the machine, then the desktop, and then we're inside the new folder. The last folder is the folder is usually the directory where you are inside. Okay, this is the directory where you're inside. So whenever you're navigating your computer system, you navigate through folders, and folders is what tells you the location that you're in. Now say we want to jump from here and all the way back to here. Okay, we want to jump from here and jump all the way back to here and skip this. Okay, as I told you earlier, we can just cd back to desktop by doing the cd with the double dot, and we are going back to the new folder. We're going back to desktop, and we can do pwd here and confirm that. But let's now cd back into the new folder, and you can see now we want to jump, let's do pwd. We want to jump all the way from here all the way back to the home folder. We just do the cd without no argument. Okay, do the cd like that, and then you'll be able to see that we have jumped all the way back to the home folder. And if we do a pwd, you'll be able to see we are back in the machine folder. Okay, we are back in the machine folder, and that is basically that for the cd command, and that's how you can be able to know that's how you change directory, and that's how you move around directories. You can be able to play around with it and see what more you can do with that. Now the next command we're going to look at, so let's clear this, and let's clear that. The next command we're going to look at is the making a directory command. So making directory command, and mkdir, I like to call it mkdir, which the mk part stands for make directory. The make directory command is there to create a new directory inside your already existing already your current directory that you're in. And so the syntax for it is again just like we had said earlier, is you can see it's mkdir. It doesn't understand what you mean. I'm not fine. Did you mean whatever? So it doesn't understand what you're saying. But let's just clear this, and again look at the syntax. So the make directory, it comes with options. It comes with option, and also comes with argument. Okay, so this one can come with an option and an argument, and we will see this in action very soon. So let's first of confirm we are let's make sure that we're inside the desktop. We change our directory into the desktop. So let's do this, and let's clear. So let's move into desktop. Okay, let's cd into desktop. Okay, so we change directory into desktop, and we can confirm that we are inside the desktop. So once we confirm that we're inside the desktop, we want now to create a new folder, and this time we'll call it new folder 2, and then we will also give it a v flag. V stands for verbose, and verbose basically means it will print out whatever it has done once we create that directory. So we want to make a directory, so we'll make a directory, and this directory will call it we'll use the v flag as an option, and then we'll call it a new folder 2, new folder 2, because we already have new folder. So once we do that, you can see it gives us an output telling us it created a directory called new folder 2. It already created a directory called new folder 2, and we can be able to see that by doing an ls, and now we can see we have the new folder which we had created without going into the command line, and this one is the new folder that I've created just immediately now. Okay, and you can see now it gives you an output when we do the v flag. It gives you an output, and basically that is one way of creating a directory. Now if we want to create another folder inside the new folder, we can give it a path. Okay, here we didn't give it a path, we just told it to create a folder called new folder. But imagine we want to create a new folder without going inside the new folder. We can give it a path, and here is an example. So we'll make a directory called new folder, but we'll give it a path, because once you do a slash, whatever happens after that slash goes inside the folder that precedes it. So this, whatever will happen inside here will be created inside this folder too. So let's create another folder called new folder 3, which will go inside the new folder 2. Okay, so let's do that, and it tells us it created a new folder 2 inside new folder, it created a new folder 3 inside new folder 2. So if we do an ls here, we will see we only have new folder and new folder 2. But now if we are to look at the content of this new folder 2 using the ls and new folder 2, you can see now inside new folder 2 there's another folder called new folder 3. So we have created another folder called new folder 3 inside that one. Okay, so that is basically it. You can create a folder immediately, or you can create a folder with a path, and you can do that. You can add you can add on to this path create new folder 4 inside new folder 3, and like that, and so on, so on. So this is how you create a folder using the make directory. So you can play around with it and see what it does. So we're going to clear that, and then we'll go and look at the next command, which is the touch command. So we've created a folder, okay, but we have not created a file. So what is the difference between a folder and a file? So a folder is a container in which you can put a file inside. So a file, think of it like a Word document or a text document that you're creating, anything like anything that you can write on, like a Word document, that is a file, and where you store it is what we call a folder. Okay, so to create a file, use a touch, and so let's just make sure that we're still in the desktop. Just pwd and see where we are. Always check where you are. We're still inside desktop, and so the command that we're going to, let me clear that. The command we are talking about is called touch, and touch is used to touch is used for making a new file, and it looks something like this. It comes with the command itself, and then with an argument, and this time the argument is the file that you want to create. Okay, when we are looking earlier is the file that are already existing, but here is a file that you want to create. Just like in the making directory, the argument is the file, is the folder that you want to create. Here is the file that you want to create. Okay, so we are going to let's do ls and see what happened here. So you can see what happened is we created a file called argument, but that's not what we wanted to do. Okay, that's not what we wanted to do. So I'll quickly do an rm and remove that. I'll just remove whatever that is, but we're going to encounter that command a bit later. So let's do copy here, and we're just going to copy. So let's do an ls, and then we can see we don't have anything inside. So this is how the argument, how you can create a file. But now in our case, we want to create a file called a new file.txt. Okay, so we're going to do attach, and we are going to create a new file.txt. okay, so we're going to do a new file.txt, and here we go. And if we go and do an ls, we will now see that inside our desktop we have a new file called txt. Okay, and so we have a new file called txt, and it's residing next to our new folder and next to our new folder too. Okay, so that is that. So we have just created a file called a new file, and you can create more files. You can create actually 2 files together, and you just use that. You just use the syntax that I've shown you here. Now, the next command that we want to look at is the copy command, and the copy command is written. So let's clear this. We want to look at the copy command, and copy is cp and is short for copy. So we want to copy, so you can either copy a file or copy a folder, or copy both. You can copy a file into a folder or copy a folder into a file. Okay, so let's see it in action. And the syntax for copying is basically you have the copy, and then you can give it an option. You can give it an option, and then you have the file that you want to copy, the source file. The source file is the file that you want to copy. Source file. And then you have the destination, where you want it to go. So the destination is normally a folder. You can't copy a file into a file. You can only copy a file into a folder. So this is the destination. You want it to go somewhere. So in our example, in our first example, we're going to copy the new file that we created, the new file.txt, into new folder. Okay, we're going to put the new file that we've created into the new folder. So let's do that. So before we do that, let me just delete this and make sure that we are inside a desktop, and let's see the content of desktop. So we can see we have this new file.txt, and we want to copy it into the new folder too. Okay, so we want to move this into this. We want to copy this into this. We want to have a copy of this inside this one. So let's do a copy, and we will use the v flag so that it can print out the action that it has already done. So we'll do this, and then I will do new file.txt, and let me just do the writing. For you to do auto completion, you just use the tab. When you use the tab, it will auto complete things for you. So we're going to do new file.txt, and then we'll copy it into new folder 2, as we said. It is doing this because done this before so that I can be able to for practice, and I was also writing the article for this. That's why it's auto completing for me. But maybe in your terminal it might not be auto completing, so don't worry about it. But so let's do. We are doing we are copying the new file into a new folder, and it should give us print out whatever that will happen after that. So you can see new file has been copied into new file.txt. Now let's do ls here. We see this file is still there. Okay, this new file is still here. But if we do an ls into the new folder 2, let's do ls into new folder 2, you should see now there's not only new folder 3, there's a new file.txt that has been created here. So we have copied a copy of that. We have a copy of new file.txt inside new folder 2. Okay. What else can we do with this? Now, for you to this is copying a file, but I've told you you can also copy a folder. Okay, so we can copy a folder into another folder using the cp command. But to do this, we use the R flag, and R stands for recursive. In computing, is recursive refers to a function or algorithm or a process that calls itself repeatedly until a certain condition is met. So in the context of a file system, a recursive operation or on a directory means performing the same operation on all the subdirectories and their contents within the directory. For example, recursively copying a directory would copy the directory and all its subdirectories and files within them. So let's give it a try. Now we are going to make a new directory called a new folder 2.1. so let's do that. So let's first of all confirm that we are still inside the desktop folder, and inside the desktop folder, let's make a directory which we'll call it we want to give it the v flag so that it can print out the action that he has done, and we are going to call it a new folder 2.1. okay, so once we have done that, you can see mkdir created a directory new folder 2.1, and if we do an ls, we should be able to see that now we have a new folder 2.1 here. We have a new folder 2.1 inside here. Now we want to copy now new folder 2 into new folder 2.1. so we can see the new folder 2 already has content. Let's just confirm that new folder 2 has content. It has content, and we want to copy it with all the content into new folder 2.1. okay, so what you're going to do is we do the cp, and we will do recursively, and here you can do both. We use the recursive. So if let's do a cp without using the recursive, and if we do cp and we say new folder 2, we are copying new folder 2 into new folder 2.1. folder 2.1. 2.1. If we do that, you'll see are not specified, omitting directory new folder 2. So let's just do an ls here, and let's see ls inside new folder 2.1. we can see it's still empty because nothing happened. Why? It's telling us R is not specified because it has content, and R has to be there for it to recursively copy. So for us to be able to copy, we will have to do copy and R, and we'll do new folder 2 and copy it into new folder 2.1. okay, and this time you see there's no output coming out here, and when there's no output it says everything is correct. So if we do an ls here, we can see the folders are there, and then we want to see if first let's see what is inside here. ls folder 2, so let's ls new folder 2. You can see the content is there, and this content should be, we should now see the new folder 2.1 having new folder inside it. Okay, so let's do ls new folder 2.1, and we can see now new folder 2, this new folder 2 has entered into new folder 2 2.1, and we can further see the content of new folder 2 inside here by giving it a path, and we'll do ls new folder 2.1, and then let's give it a path of new folder 2, which is inside it, and see. So you see also its content have been copied inside it. Okay, if this one is a bit if you find that is a bit technical, don't worry, it will come with a lot of practice, so just keep on practicing and it will come. Okay, so you can see now we have been able to copy our new folder into folder new 2.1. okay, that is the copy. Now we have another one called a move. Okay, so let's clear this. Let's clear this. Okay, so let's clear that, and we are still inside desktop. So we want to look at the next command, which is the move command, and the move command is mv, short for move. Okay, and its syntax, just like the earlier ones, it has the option always comes immediately after the command, and then we have an argument. To it. Okay, so that is the move command for you, and this command works more like the copy command, but basically what it does, it doesn't leave the file that you move it. You see, when you copy, you create another copy, but when you move that exact copy into another location. So we want to move the new file, that is okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun here. The move command can be used to do two things. So one, it can be used to copy, to rename a file. It can be used to rename a file or rename a folder. Secondly, it can be used to move a copy of a file from its location to another location. So let's see it in action. So here we want to rename the new file txt to, we call it a new name, new file a.txt. We call it a different name. So let's give it a try. So let's look at what is inside here. So we want to change this file's name. We want it to be called new file a, not new file.txt. We want to call it new file a. So to do that, we'll do a move, and then we'll again call the v so that it can print out whatever it has done, and we want to now call it new file .txt. We want to call it a new name, and we want to give it a new name, and we'll give it a name of new file a.txt. Okay, So let's look at that. So it already tells that it has renamed the new file.txt to new file a.txt. And if we do an ls, actually, you'll find this file no longer exists. This one no longer exists, but now we have this new file that exists. Okay, so that is one way of using the mv. You can be able to rename files inside. Then the other way we want to use this is to move a file from one location to another. So in our second example, we should be moving this file that we have created here. We want to move this one into this folder. We want to move it into the new folder 2.1. Okay, give me a minute. So we want to move this file from here into here, and we will again use the move, and then we will now call the new file a.txt. You can use tab to autocomplete, and then we're going to move it into the folder new folder 2.1. okay, so we're going to use it we're going to move yeah, so we're going to move it into new folder sorry for that, new folder 2.1. okay, so we're going to move this file into this file, and once we do that, you can see it's saying renamed, but this is misleading a bit. But basically what it has done, it has moved this new folder into the folder called 2.1. so if we go and do an ls here, we can see that this folder has ceased to exist here. This file has ceased to exist here. And now if we do an ls into new folder 2.1, if we do ls new folder 2.1, folder 2.1, we should see that the new file a.txt has now come inside here. Can you see that? It has come inside here. We have moved it from that place into that place. So that is moving a file. But also you can move a folder. Okay, you can move a folder, not only a file. You can move a folder. You can move now a folder into from one location to the next. So we want to move in our case, we're going to create what are we going to do? We're going to let's create in our case we are going to move, because we already have let's see the folders that we have here. So we have a new folder, we have new folder 2, and we have new folder 2.1. okay, so we are going to, let's see what is inside them. Let's see, a new folder, folder 2. okay, so we want to move this new folder into new folder 2.1. no, but we already done that. So let's just let's create let's make a new folder, called it new folder 2.1a. No, oh yes, I know what we want to do now. What we want to do here, sorry for my chain of thought, losing my chain of thought a bit. What we want to do here, we want to rename this folder. We want to rename this folder from new folder 2.1 to new folder 2.a. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to use the move command again, and we'll use the verbose, and we will now rename this from 2.1 to 2.a. So let's do that. 2.1. We are now going to give it a new name called new folder 2.a. So it will stop being called new folder 2.1 and it will call new folder 2.a. And if you see that we've renamed it, now it's folder 2. And if we do an ls here, we can see now we no longer have folder 2.1, we have folder 2.a. Okay, now we have changed that from folder 2.1 to folder 2.a. Okay, and now the next thing we want to do, we want to now move a folder into another folder. Okay, we want to move a folder into another folder, and just like we moved the file, we moved this where did we do this? Let's go back. We renamed the file here. We renamed this file to file tx to tx, and then we moved the file into new folder 2.1. okay, now we want to move this new folder. We're going to move a new folder. Just give me a minute. Let me check my notes a bit. We want to move this new folder. Let's move this new folder into the new folder 2.a, so that it can disappear from here. So let's move new folder from there, and we'll move it into new folder 2.a. okay, so we'll move new folder into new folder 2.a, and let's just make sure we add the v here so that we can see this movement. New folder into new folder 2.a. So if we do an ls here, we can see that the new folder has disappeared from here. But if we check inside the new folder 2.a, let's do ls and new folder 2.a, we can see the new folder has moved inside there. Okay, so that's how you can move a folder. And moving and copying are similar, but basically it just the difference is one creates another copy, and moving just moves that one copy into the next location. Now we want to look at one last thing, and that is the remove. And how do you remove, how do you delete? So let's clear this. We're going to look at another command called rm, and this one is for remove, and basically it's like delete. So you want to remove a folder or a file from an existing location. Okay, so what we're gonna do, so the remove command is used to remove files and directories in a command line interface. So the syntax is as usual. We have the option. Let me just use the short form. I hope you'll understand. We have the option here, and we have the argument. We have the argument. So O for option and O for argument. That is the syntax. So in our case, we want to go inside the new folder 2. So let's make sure that we are inside the new folder 2. So let's first of all print working directory. We're in the desktop. So what is inside the desktop? We want to move into, let me make sure I'm doing the correct thing. We want to move into the new folder 2. So let's cd into new folder 2. New folder 2. Okay, and if we do a pwd there, we will see we're inside new folder 2. And let's see what are the files inside there. So we want to remove this file, this file called new file.txt. Okay, we want to remove this new file called new file.txt. Let's just we want to remove the file called new file.txt, and so we'll just do the remove. Let me just go back a bit. cd, let's see what is inside new folder 2. Okay. So let's just cd into new folder 2. Let's cd into new folder 2, and if we check inside new folder 2, we'll see new file. But I want to create a new file inside here, so I'll just create a new file using the touch new file. Let's call it B. Okay, new file B, because I want to show you how you can delete multiple files, and this one is applicable also in creation of files. So let's go and check out what is inside here, and you can see we have created a new file called folder B, and a new file called file. We have already the file that existed there, and we have this new file here. Now I want to delete both of these inside here, and again, just to note that we are inside the, confirm with you, we are inside the new folder. So let's delete, let's remove, and in our case we are going to use the verbose flag, so that it can tell us, it can print for us the action that has happened. So we're going to look at new file .txt, and we're also going to look at new we're going to remove, sorry for that, we're going to remove new file, we called it b.txt. Those are the two files we are going to remove, and if we do that, you can see it tells us it has removed new file.txt and it has removed new file b.txt. And if we now go and confirm with the ls, you can see now there's no files. Initially it was like this. This was the initial results that we were getting when we did an ls, but now we can see we don't have that anymore. Now we want to go back and we want to use the cd and go back to remove folders now. Okay, so let's go cd and go back to desktop, and let's see what we have here. Now we have these two, and we want to remove these two. Now again, for the remove command, we also need to use the R for recursive if you are removing folders. Okay, so if we say, let's do a simple remove without that, and say new folder. New folder 2, it will tell you cannot remove it's a directory. Okay, this is an error because we are not using the recursive, so we have to always use the recursive. Okay, we have always to use a recursive, so R for recursive. So we're going to do again R, and you can combine the options, and we want to also use the V, so we'll combine them like that. And in our case, we'll remove new sorry, you have to put the space, new folder 2 and new folder 2.a. okay, and once we do that, you can see it now tells us it removed, how it removed the file. So this one first, it tells us it removed this one, and then it removed this one, then it went and removed a new for the text, and then it removed the new folder. So it tells you recursively how it operated until it removed. So it started with in our case for new folder 2, it started with the deleting the new folder 3, then it deleted it removed the new folder 2, then it went now into new folder it went into new folder 2.a, and it started by removing the file, and then it removed the new folder, and then it removed the new folder 3 and new folder 2, and just like that recursively until it removed new folder 2.a. So that's basically for this few commands. If you feel a bit confused, I have done a write-up, and it will be on my Medium page, so you can also go there and use that together with this, and you might be able to see what is happening. Okay, and basically for you to be able to be good at these things, you'll basically just need to do a lot of practice. However, I don't leave you without giving you a place where you can go and find this information. So let's go to this let me paste this one here. So sorry, my internet is down a bit. Let me check out. I think my router had disconnected. Okay, it's disconnected for now. Give me a minute. I think we are back, so let me check. So if you want to know more about commands and how to use them, there's a very good course by Cisco Networking Academy. This Cisco Network Academy, and if you come here, this is called NDG Linux Unhatched, and you can see it's an 8-hour course, and it's free, it's beginner friendly, and it comes with a certificate at the end of the day. So you learn basic installation and configuration of Linux software, you'll understand the basics of Linux command line interface, you'll also interact with the Linux virtual machine and determine if Linux is good for you. So if you feel whatever I've taught you is not enough and you want to go deeper, this is the course that I recommend you to do. There's also a more comprehensive YouTube one. Let me find it for you. Copy. There's also another channel called Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp has a lot of information also, and if you come here, they have sorry, let me just cancel that and skip that. Yeah, just pause that. So if you come here, they have an introduction course, Introduction to Linux, full course for beginners, and you want to subscribe to that channel. And yeah, it's very recent, it's 9 days ago, and you can see already it has 129k views. And yeah, it's a good course also, this one. So I've put up the link on the description for you to be able to access them. And yeah, that is that for now, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope I've been able to teach you a bit of this. And yeah, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Buy me that coffee if this information was great for you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Thank you, and have a good time.